Newton, Kepler, Galileo, every single one of them believed in God. Atheists fight passionately for justice against suffering. But on what basis? If we are merely chemicals, none of it matters. Chemicals don't have obligations. If you burn a strip of magnesium, zoom, it flares up. No one says the magnesium is doing something wrong. Gravitational force just right. Electron mass just right. 29 highly precise parameters, all of them simultaneously precisely right. A former atheist described the moment his atheism collapsed. Here are 5 questions that in all my reading of atheistic philosophy, I have not found satisfactory answers to. Here is a statement that one of the most celebrated scientists of the 20th century made, and almost nobody talks about it. Werner Heisenberg, father of quantum physics, he said, "The first sip from the cup of science makes us atheistic. But at the bottom of the cup, God is waiting." And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly what he meant and why it demolishes the most confident claims of modern atheism. Atheism is not the rational default. It is not the absence of faith. Atheists deride faith in God, but they themselves have an underlying faith in whatever they can't conceptualize. Carl Sagan, beloved astrophysicist, hero of scientific thinking, declared,
"Cosmos is all that is, or ever was, or ever will be."
Ever will be. Beautiful sentence. Sounds like science. But here is the question nobody asked him. How do you know that? That statement cannot be proven by any experiment. It cannot be observed. It cannot be tested. It is, by definition, a statement of metaphysical faith. And here is the deeper problem. Modern science rests on faith, on assumptions the universe is rational, that it is accessible to the human mind, that there is an objective reality out there. Not one of these can be proven by the scientific method. They are accepted on faith before a single experiment begins. The scientific method itself rests on the massive assumption that was expressed over 2,000 years ago by the Greek philosopher Protagoras. Man is the measure of all things. More recently, in the 19th century, French philosopher Auguste Comte said, "The only thing that we can accept as reality is that which we can observe and rationalize." This is arrogance. We are tiny living beings with very limited intelligence and very limited ability to perceive what is going on around us. We live on a tiny speck in a vast universe, and our lifespan is just a blip. Yet we dare to say that reality can only consist of that which we can see, measure, and quantify. So when a scientist tells you, with great confidence, that there is no God,
God is a delusion. There is no God.
they are operating outside the boundaries of their own discipline. As philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein put it, the solution of the riddle of life in space and time lies outside space and time. So what scientists call science is ideology wearing a lab coat. In a moment, I'm going to show you some actual numbers. Numbers that physicists themselves describe as inexplicable, that make the case for God not a matter of religion, but a matter of pure logic. But first, the most famous atheistic argument, why it destroys itself. According to atheists, miracles cannot take place. Everything remains unexplained until it is explained by science. But, contrarily, they grant themselves one miracle, the Big Bang. We all know the atheistic creation story. Once upon a time, there was nothing. Nothing exploded. Everything dropped into place just right. And here we all are! Now, you might say that's unfair. That's a caricature. So, let me quote Dr. Michael Shermer, a man who built his entire career on scientific skepticism, on debunking the irrational. This is what he wrote about his own side's position. How does something come from nothing? Not just no matter, no space, no time, no energy, no logic, no ideas, no gods, no eternity, no laws of physics, nothing. Think about what true nothing actually means. Not empty space, space is something. Not a quantum vacuum, that has energy, properties, mathematical laws. True nothing is a concept that by its very definition cannot give rise to anything. First of all, we cannot even conceptualize what nothing means. But even if we could, the probability of something arising from true nothing is nothing. And yet, the materialistic worldview grants itself one miracle. The singularity dresses it in equations, but it gets even more strange. Because when physicists started to measure the fundamental structure of the universe, the constants, the forces, the parameters, they found something that, by any honest mathematical reckoning, should be impossible by chance. I'll show you exactly what in 60 seconds. Our universe has 29 fundamental physical constants. The mass of the electron, the gravitational constant, the cosmological constant, that's the force governing how fast the universe expands, and 26 more. The cosmological constant, fine-tuned to 1 part in 10 to the power of 90. That is a 1 followed by 90 zero. It's so small we can't even conceptualize it. But if it were fractionally larger, the universe would have expanded too fast, converting everything into heat. No stars, no planets, no life, fractionally smaller, gravitational collapse, big crunch, everything swallowed. In either case, we don't exist. Luke Barnes, Cambridge PhD in astrophysics, calculated the probability of randomly producing a life-permitting universe. He called his book The Fortunate Universe, because impossible would have been too strong a word for an academic. So physicists now speak of the Goldilocks universe. Everything just right. Not too hot, not too cold, not too fast, not too slow, gravitational force just right, electron mass just right, 29 highly precise parameters, all of them simultaneously precisely right. Werner Heisenberg had this to say: whoever dedicates his life to searching out particular connections of nature will spontaneously be confronted with the question of how they harmoniously fit into the whole. Isaac Newton looked at the same precision in the orbits of the planets and wrote in his Principia, this most beautiful system of the sun, planets, and comets could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. If you found a watch on the beach, you had not concluded that it assembled itself from sand and seawater, even given billions of years. The universe is incomparably more intricate, more precisely calibrated, more information dense than all the watches in the world put together ever made. The conclusion should be no different. Fine-tuning gives us a universe fit for life, but that just raises the next question, and the answer to that question might be the most staggering of all. An ant cannot imagine a functional rocket. It is bound by its own ability to understand things bigger than itself, and so are we, humans. The DNA in a single human cell contains far more specified functional information than the entire 30 volumes of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Not random information, not noise, coded, purposeful, functional information. The instructions for building and operating a living organism. Stephen Meyer, PhD in Philosophy of Science from Cambridge, argued in his book, Signature in the Cell, that there is only one known source for this kind of specified, complex information: a mind, not a random chemical reaction. a mind. And here is the fact that never makes it into the popular science documentaries. Life has never, not once, been observed arising spontaneously from non-living matter. Not in a laboratory, not in the 4 billion years that they say is the Earth's history. Not under any conditions, not at any scale. The theistic position is not blind faith. It rests on the self-evident proposition that life comes from life. We see it around us all the time. Living babies come from living mothers, never from stones or just dropping from the sky. It's not by chance that Beethoven composed his symphonies, that Albert Einstein was who he was, that you are who you are. To argue that consciousness, love, moral awareness, and the irreducible experience of being alive arose by chance interaction of chemicals is not dispassionate scientific reasoning. It is a statement of lazy, unscientific faith in the potential of randomness. But the argument I personally find most devastating, the one that atheism at a fundamental level simply cannot answer. But first, let me tell you who actually believed in God. You may be surprised. We are told repeatedly, confidently, science leads to atheism. That the rational conclusion of studying the universe is no God. Newton, Kepler, Galileo, Bacon, Descartes, huge names, the founding fathers of the scientific revolution. Every single one of them believed in God, not vaguely, but scientifically, as a direct consequence of what they studied. Heisenberg, I have never been able to doubt the reality of that to which religious thinking points. Max Planck, quantum theory, said that science and religion are two complementary paths to the same truth. Francis Collins led the Human Genome Project, which mapped the DNA of the human species, and he became a committed theist because of what he found in the structure of life. The supposed war between science and religion, largely a myth. A piece of late 19th century propaganda repeated so often it became accepted as historical fact. Heisenberg again, listen carefully. In the history of science, it has repeatedly been claimed that scientific truth cannot be reconciled with the religious interpretation of the world. I have never been able to dismiss the content of religious thinking as simply part of an outmoded phase in the consciousness of mankind.
If everything is a chemical reaction or evolution, how does atheism explain our morality and abstract experience above material phenomena?
C.S. Lewis, one of the most brilliant minds of the 20th century, a former atheist, described the moment his atheism collapsed. That his main argument against God was that the universe seemed unjust. Then he asked himself a question. How had I got the idea of just and unjust? A man does not call a line crooked unless he has some idea of a straight line. In other words, where does the idea of right and wrong, good and bad, come from? If we are merely chemicals, if love is just oxytocin, if consciousness is just evolutionary conditioning, if the sense of right and wrong is just neurons firing, then there is no wrong. There's only chemistry. If you burn a strip of magnesium, zoom, it flares up. If you throw alkali into acid, it effervesces. No one says the magnesium is doing something wrong. There's no meaning, there's only reaction. But if you see a child suffer, you know this should not be. That response is not a chemical reaction. It is a moral intuition, pointing to a standard that transcends matter. Atheists fight passionately for justice against suffering. But on what basis? If we are just chemicals, none of it matters. Chemicals don't have obligations. The very act of caring, of finding some things meaningful and other things monstrous, is lived evidence of something that goes beyond the material. Here are 5 questions that in all my reading of atheistic philosophy, I have not found satisfactory answers to. Not rhetorical tricks, genuine, serious question. Challenge 1. Why does anything matter to you? If consciousness is neurons, love is oxytocin, and justice is evolutionary conditioning, then why do you fight so passionately for any of it? You are living as though things have transcendent meaning, while your worldview insists they don't. You can't have it both ways. Challenge 2. What is consciousness? Not the brain, the experience of being conscious. Experiencing the redness of red, the pain of pain. What psychologists call the hard problem of consciousness. Neuroscience can tell us what lights up in the brain when you feel joy. It cannot tell us what joy feels like or why you feel yourself as a distinct personal being. Materialism has no serious answer to this. Challenge 3. Your dismissal of God is not science. When you say there is no God, you are not reporting a scientific finding. You are making a metaphysical claim using a tool that by its own methodology cannot reach that far. Challenge 4. How do you account for religious experience? Across every culture, every century, every continent, extraordinary human beings have reported direct experience of the divine. Rumi, Maimonides, Teresa of Avila, they were not confused, simple-minded people. They were philosophers, poets, scholars. Their inner lives were transformed by spiritual realization. And literally billions of people have had religious experience at some level. You must either explain that or dismiss an enormous part of human experience as mass delusion. Challenge 5. Science of the gaps. Atheists accuse theists of the God of the gaps, invoking God for phenomena that science has not yet explained. Interesting point. But consider dark matter, dark energy, the origin and nature of consciousness, the nature of time, quantum entanglement. These are very big gaps. Scientists estimate that roughly 96% of the forces that make up the observable universe are currently unexplained, and thus scientists postulate dark matter and dark energy. That is a very large gap. But the biggest gap of all is the inability to reconcile quantum theory and general relativity. The biggest brains in science have been working on it for nearly 100 years, but still no real sign of a breakthrough is in sight. Our proposition is this: we are so tiny and the universe is so vast and complex. So however much we discover, there will always be huge gaps in our understanding. True scientific humility should accept, at least as a hypothesis, what Newton, Max Planck, Heisenberg, and so many other super scientists took for granted: the reality that there is a God behind everything.
The hypothesis of a transcendent, creative intelligence, what people refer to as God, is more probable than imagining something came out of nothing.
In philosophy and science, when we cannot directly prove a conclusion, we use what is called abductive reasoning, inference to the best explanation. We take all the evidence, everything, and we ask what hypothesis most elegantly accounts for all of it simultaneously. Let me list some of the main things. The fine-tuning of 29 constants to mind-boggling precision. The origin of specified biological information in DNA. The existence of consciousness and subjective experience. The universal human moral intuition. The universal human experience of the spiritual dimension. Physics, cosmology, mathematics, biology, philosophy, all arising from and converging in human experience. No single naturalist hypothesis can possibly account for all of these simultaneously. The hypothesis of a transcendent, creative, intelligent, what every tradition across history has called God or gods, accounts for all of them. That is inference to the best explanation, the same reasoning scientists use every time they posit a theory they cannot directly observe. And now you understand what Heisenberg meant. The first sip from the cup of science removes God from the picture. Looks clean, simple, but the deeper you go, in physics, biology, mathematics, philosophy, the more the picture changes. At the bottom of the cup, something else is waiting. The question of God is the most important question a human being can ask. Don't settle it cheaply. Don't let anyone on either side make the decision for you. Follow the evidence, all of it, with the same rigor and honesty you would bring to any great inquiry. If what I've shared today has made you think, consider sharing this video, because these questions deserve a wider conversation. If you want to go deeper, I have a whole series exploring these arguments in more detail. Link in the description. Subscribe if you want to keep thinking together, and I'll see you in the next one.